And I'm going to cover the Los Angeles Pierce College General Education Pattern today. This general education pattern is for students who do not want to transfer to a four-year institution. These are students who just want to go ahead and get our associate's degree and then go ahead and enter the workforce. It is the shortest of the three general education patterns that we offer. This general education pattern can be used for our Associates of Arts or our Associate of Science degrees only, okay? So this general education pattern cannot be used for the associate's degree for a transfer. I just want to notate that. You cannot use the LAPC GE form for your ADT, okay? This is only for the non-transfer associate's degree. Okay, so let's look into details of this general education pattern, okay? You have to have a minimum of 21 units, okay, to have with all the classes in here. You have to have a minimum of 21 units. There are 5 categories, okay? We're going to go over the categories in a second, but there are 5 of them, and then 2 of those 5 categories, there are subcategories. What I mean by subcategories, it just means that there are additional requirements within those categories, and I'll go over it in just a bit. There is also an English and math competency requirement that you have to meet, and there are multiple ways for you to meet your English and math competency. You can have a D grade in your courses for this general education pattern, okay? So we will accept D grades, except if you are using that class for your English or math competency. English and math competency courses have to be at least a C minus or higher, or through another avenue, and we're going to go over that in a second. Um, if a course meets multiple categories, and let me give you a prime example. English 102 meets here in the humanities section. Let me go ahead and find that English 102. And it also too meets it right here in the English composition section. But you don't get to use it on both sections. You can only use it for one section, okay? So you get to pick one class and you get to pick which category you would like to use it for, okay? However, there is an exception. Health 2 is the only class where you could use it for 2 sections. And that is Health 2. It's the health education and the activity course, okay? Health 2 is the only exception to that. Okay, so now that we went into details of the general education pattern, let's talk about how you read this general education pattern. It looks a little overwhelming. There's like a whole bunch of blank spaces and check boxes, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't understand how to read it. Let me go into the details, okay? So first, let's go ahead and talk about the categories. There are 5 different categories. The first one is the natural sciences, okay? The second one is the social and behavioral sciences. The third one is the humanities. Let me highlight that. And then the fourth one is language and rationality. And then the fifth one is our health and kinesiology, okay? So you will have to meet all 5 of these categories based off on classes that you take. So for the natural sciences, you have to take one class out of this whole entire section right here. You get to pick whichever one you want, okay? You get to pick one class or 2, whatever is it that you want, has to meet a total of 3 semester units, okay? A total of 3 semester units. So 1 or 2 classes, whatever course it is, and it has to be at least 3 units, okay? For area B, social and behavioral sciences, there is a subcategory. Remember, I mentioned subcategories. They require a subcategory in American institutions, and they also too require a subcategory in the social and behavioral sciences. So what that means is you have to have 3 semester units, because it says 3 semester units right here, based off on these classes right here. So you could take any class in here, and it has to be at least 3 units to meet this American Institutions requirement. For social and behavioral sciences, you have to take another class, so anything out of this category, and it has to be at least 3 semester units for you to meet this category. So for you to meet area B, you have to have 1 class from the American institutions and 1 class from the social and behavioral science total. Also, too, it has to equal a total of 6 semester units, okay? 3 from here and 3 from here. So a lot of times students think, oh, well, I could just take 2 classes from here and it'll meet 6 units. No, no, no. It still has to be 1 from the American institutions and 1 from the social and behavioral sciences. Okay, so next is the humanities, and this one's a little bit easier. You get to pick 1 class from this category under the humanities, and it has to be at least 3 units, okay? If it's less than 3 units, you have to pick at least 2 classes then to equal at least 3 units. Next one is Area D, Language and Rationality. This also has a subcategory, and the first subcategory is English Composition, and the second subcategory is Communication and Analytical Thinking, okay? So that means you have to have 1 class from English Composition, it has to be at least 3 units, and 1 class from Communication Analytical Thinking, and it has to be at least 3 units. So in total, 1 from here and 1 from here to equal a total of 6 units. Okay. Now, I just want to give you a heads up that most students take English 101 in this category. And the reason why is because it's usually a sub requirement for the English competency. So I just want to let you know most people use English 101 for this. Also, another one that people usually do is for the communication analytical thinking, they use their math for the math competency for this communication and analytical thinking as well. Because remember, you have to meet an English and math competency. Usually students pick an English 101 class to meet the English competency, and people use a math class that is eligible for math competency for the communication and analytical thinking. So just a heads up for students, that usually helps to double count and reduce another class to take. Okay, let's go into health and kinesiology, the very last section, okay? This also has a subcategory. Oh, sorry, I mentioned I had 2, actually 3 of them have subcategories, my fault. 3 of them have subcategory. It is the health education and 1 PE class, okay? So you will have to have 1 class in health education and 1 in the activity course. And what I mean by activity, I mean like a PE class, something that where you're active in, okay? So I just want to give you the heads up. Yes, that means you possibly have to do a PE class, okay? Most of the time, students tend to do health too because it double counts, so you have that option right there. Some students just don't mind. They want to get the PE class in. They like doing for extra exercise. Usually it's a kinesiology class with 200 level or higher, or they pick one of these dance classes because that's always really fun as well. So students have the option for that. You get to pick whatever you want in here for one activity and whatever you want in here. Really, there's only 4 choices here for health education, okay? And remember, students can also meet this health requirements if they have military credit, okay? So if any military students out there, if you don't want to do the health education and PE, please contact the VA department and they'll give you the steps on what to do to make sure that you could be waived from that, okay? Now, let's go ahead and go over it one more time, just to make it a little nice and easy for you. Natural sciences, 1 class. Social and behavioral sciences, that means 1 class in American institutions, 1 class in the social behavioral sciences. Humanities, just 1 class in there. Language and rationality, 1 in the English composition, 1 in the communication analytical thinking. And then the last one is health and kinesiology, 1 in health education and 1 activity course, okay? Total of 3 units in this section. Okay. Now, remember I mentioned English and math competency? I wanted to go over that with you next, okay? So the math competency is a requirement for you to get an associate's degree, and there are multiple ways for you to get it, as you can tell here. The most common one that students use is that if you graduated from high school with 1 year of intermediate algebra or equivalent or higher with a grade of a C minus or better in your second semester, because in high school, they have 2 semesters. So the second semester, if you scored C minus or higher in intermediate algebra or higher, that is one option that you could do. A lot of times students then just pass one of these college level classes from a California community college. So that's really Any college course in intermediate algebra or higher with a grade of C minus or better. Okay. So intermediate algebra or higher. So that could mean statistics. That could mean trigonometry, pre-calculus, calculus. So you have a lot of different options there. And when in doubt, you should just go see a counselor to see if you met the English and math competency. Okay. The English competency, it's known as written expression. I always call it the English competency. Pretty much you need to pass a freshman composition class with a C minus or better, okay? And for us, that is English 101. And that's why I said, hey, English 101 here could also count right here under English composition. So that would save you a class. So I just wanted to give you the heads up on that. As always, remember if you have AP credits could fit into this general education pattern. Please see a counselor if you have any questions on how your AP credits count. So please don't hesitate to reach out, okay? Well, I hope you enjoyed my quick tutorial on this LAPC general education pattern. And as always, if you have any questions, just feel free to email me to really prefer the Canvas inbox and message me, and I could totally answer it for you, okay? Have a great night.